Well, I'm sitting here with Nick Hemann. We like to refer to him as the Godfather of the Green Mafia. When they
Uh,
roll in, man, you get we know we're in for a heck of a tournament, and they always have huge groups from youth all the way to high school. What do you think has gone into creating such you guys are good from youth, middle school, high school. What do you think all goes into creating some of that?
Obviously, the community support and some superintendent administrator support is crucial. Something that they definitely have to be a part of. And at Osage here, we definitely have great community support. It's a tradition, which we knew building the girls' side of things that it would take off, and it'd be well receptive to everybody. So we I tell you what, it's a lot of work, but I got people that I surrounded myself around and kind of hit the ground running with my daughters when they were in the kids club and then just kept tearing it up to the high school level. And surrounding yourself with good people, man. That's it's as simple as that. Our program's only as good as, the people that are in it, and the more that we have in it, like you said, you see that pretty pretty clearly with Osage, and I think it's something special when everyone feels that way.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been happening for quite a while too. I remember watching Emma Grimm and then, Jalen
Yep.
Goodall and then, the Heman girls. And I know I'm missing a ton of them in there. There's just been a lot.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's been around for a while, and that is, so true, that community support, the administrative support. Um, what does Osage have
Yeah.
coming back next year in the high school for
Yeah. Good question. And, we
athletes?
did lose a great senior group. Gable and a handful of others are moving on to bigger and better things. But our eighth grade group coming in, that's going to be freshmen, are very, very, very solid. Our eighth grade group this year and seventh grade group, which would be my youngest daughter, Collins, they're really good too. So we're really excited that the stable isn't empty for sure. Um, so we'll have Bryn Havig, she'll probably be she's a little on the lighter side. She won AAU state at 90-ish pounds. She's probably up to about 98 right now. She'll probably be our 100-pounder. Had a really good, I know we're going to talk about it, but had a really good Luther camp. She beat, some really, really good girls. I won't get too specific, but some ranked girls that were right in the mix last year at 100 at Ainsley's weight. Bryn held her own and looked really solid there. There's another Colbeck girl. We call her Killer. She's a stone-faced girl, loves wrestling, kind of a mat rat. She's really good. Lauren Adams, her younger brothers wrestled, or her older brothers wrestled, excuse me, at Luther. She'll be coming in. Abby Byer, Kylie Dwyer, those are all names that were AAU state place winners. And hopefully we got some others that decide to take it out, seeing what we're building and the culture that we have. We always hope to, it's never too late, right? We're always willing to work with anybody and everybody. So hopefully, we'll get a handful more and have 10 to 12 girls coming in, I think, at that freshman level, which is always good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great group. Yeah, you're right. Right now there it is never too late. Wrestling is never too late, really, anyway. You bring a decent athlete in that's willing to work
Yep.
hard.
Yeah,
And
no
I
kidding.
had some juniors go out the last couple of years that ended up being really solid wrestlers,
Well,
and
you had a manager that came out, right? You were
yeah,
telling me that
yeah.
story. Yeah. Good
Yeah,
stuff. I
two
love
years in
that.
a row, one match away
Yep.
from going to state.
Yep.
So
I
yeah, I
love
felt
that.
bad for her, but that's just how it is. Those girls, they if they good athletes, they can do a lot. What kind of numbers are you looking at in like youth program and middle school obviously is decent numbers, but youth, you
Yeah.
guys you got a ton.
Yeah, I'd say we have, and Collins is great. Collins' grade is really, really, really solid. They'll be our seventh graders, but CC will be in there. Uh, McKenna Cooper, her dad was a state champ for Osage, a good friend of mine. She won AAU state. Rihanna's Beamer is in there. I'm sure you've seen her. She's a quick girl. She'll be really solid. And then, there's a handful of others that are, didn't really necessarily maybe not on dual teams or were state champs, but really solid girls that are multi-sport athletes that love wrestling, that I coach also in softball, so It's a really good group. The eighth grade group is pretty solid as well. They've come a long ways. I would say we probably have about 15 in CC's grade, and then in eighth grade, probably 10. So probably 25 or 30 in that middle school level. And then from K6, I usually coach that. I'm not going to coach it this year. I'm actually going to step down and try to get some other people to help. But oh boy, that's a crazy room. I don't know. Last year we had, I don't know, I had the high school girls help me a lot because it was awesome to see them in there helping. So I would
Yeah,
say we had 50 girls probably in that kindergarten through sixth grade group. So that
man.
and part of that was that sixth grade group of Collins's grade, which is pretty solid, but now they're seventh graders. So I would hope to have 50, 50 in there in
Wow,
that
that's
K
just
six group.
those
Yeah.
that's amazing numbers, great numbers.
Yeah.
You do a lot of off-season work, but it's not just with Osage. You and Jake Phillips have built something really pretty special up there. And between you and Mason City, I think it goes back and forth every week, or I'm not exactly sure how your schedule works, but that North Iowa Wrestling Club, just a great group. What are some of the things that go into that? That's a
Well,
lot.
here's the deal. I mean, Jake and I are kind of wired the same, meaning, uh, we love the sport, we're passionate, we study the sport, we're students of the sport, but we know that there's always more out there to get better, right? So he and I just kind of lean on each other. He's been I think 5 years ago he tried to do this, and then it took someone like myself to get on board, and it just took off. I mean, our girls at NIWC in the spring months will see 10 to 20 college coaches, and it's a no-brainer for them to come into these practices, whether it's at Osage or Mason. We alternate on Tuesdays. No brainer to getting, in front of all those girls. So it's good. You still have to deal with the stupid Iowa rule of the no
Yep.
contact. So we're careful there.
Yep.
It works out well. Obviously, I have daughters in there. He has daughters in there, but it gives me a good chance and opportunity to really embrace. Our goal is to make up girls wrestling stronger, whether it's a Northeast Iowa girl, a Northern Iowa girl, a Denver girl, a 1A girl, a 2A. It doesn't matter. We have Minnesota girls that come down. Good friends with all the girls now. It's about building those relationships and making these girls stronger. So, it's cool for me, and Jake would say the same thing, I'm sure. I don't want to speak for him, but just to get our hands on girls that we don't get or are not in our program, and help them. And that's essentially what we do. A lot of it is driven by college coaches that come in and volunteer their time, but it takes work to do that. It takes work to go seek out college coaches to come in, or college girls to come in and run practices since we can't. And it's been awesome. Now we're going on Sundays. Jake hooked it up with Coach Kiner at Wartburg, and Coach Cruz from Immortal is running it. So you have two really good programs there, and a club and a college program, mixing with our club that we've started up here. So hopefully, I know we didn't go yesterday, but Gable was there since we moved her down on Saturday. She said there was a great group. She said she worked out with Eric Irvine, right? So
Yep.
that's just iron sharpens iron. So really excited about that. We'll probably start that. I told you, kind of took a little break here. I coach softball, so took a little break, and I think break is a good thing. So I'll probably head down to Wartburg on Sunday with my daughters, and after we play fall softball in Waverly, we'll head to practice there. So
It never stops. Hey,
never
I
stop.
talked to a good friend of mine, Jeff Jagger, just real recently, and he was talking about the Luther camp. And he's like, we've been working so hard this summer, and we made the gold bracket, and then we wrestled Osage. And he's like, man, just a whole different level. So I just want to give you props there, and just what you're doing, and we've discussed. I think every coach I ever talked to in the state of Iowa, it isn't always just about our kids, right? I mean,
No.
like what you just said. It's, you work with kids and you get to know them. It's more fun to watch down the state tournament then. You see them progressing, man, just
Yeah,
kudos
yeah. I
to
mean, well,
everything you do.
I can go as far as you. Tegan, right? Like got to coach her at
Yep.
Heartland Duels. I'm a huge fan, huge
Yeah.
fan now, and I will cheer for her. I would have never known her if I had not coached her. Probably, I know who she was. I know she's solid. But just getting to know those girls on a personal level and develop a relationship with them, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So that's really cool stuff. That's a
Yeah.
lot of what I live for in the off season.
Yeah, and you guys do. One of the places that do both AAU events and USA events, which I think that's a great thing because there's room for both for everybody. I think in there, like I think AAU tends to be more for development, and getting a lot of matches in. USA, man, we're trying to pick out those best kids to get them a Fargo title.
Right.
So and
Yeah. I I'm just a fan of just a fan of opportunities for girls. That's it. And both USA and AAU bring that, and they're both solid and have provided great opportunities for my daughters and my athletes and our club girls. So I mean, I'm all for it. I don't choose one over the other. I think they're all good in their own sense. And what you guys have done with AAU has been great, Kat and Jason, and the opportunities they've given Gable and now Ainsley this last summer. Just super grateful, super grateful.
well, and you mentioned a couple of times, I think now you brought the first one to college. Well,
Yeah.
well, how'd that feel as dad?
Oh man, makes me feel old. It was bittersweet. I know she's ready, I'm excited for her to get coached by someone else and just live it up and hopefully she does well, I mean, it'll be good for her. I work in Waverly too and I go to the office. So if I go into the office, I'll be in the same town. Uh but I'm just excited for her. I know that she's living with Jasmine Ludke, who beat her in the finals 2 years ago. They're really good friends. Jasmine was there when we moved in. S- Seems like a great girl. And then she's got Carissa Hersum and another sophomore girl. So she's got three upperclassmen roommates, and they all seem to be wonderful girls. So I'm just excited for the opportunity, and I know Coach Connor is gonna and Coach Wolfensberger too. They're both wonderful. They're gonna push them pretty good. So I'm excited to see that. Win or lose, hopefully she just becomes a stronger, better person and gets a good degree and goes out in the world and be successful. So
Yeah, and Wartburg, it's definitely bringing in some really good talented girls, but she said also really great girls too. I've
yeah, yeah,
talked to a few of them, and man, they're just super kids. All it seems like I bet 99.9% of all the girls that are wrestling are just great kids individually anyway. So, um, I want to go back and sometimes trying to figure out, I want to know who coached you and who you've coached with that maybe has built that foundation uh, for you.
yeah. Good question. I mean, everybody, honestly. So growing up, in Osage, I had Bruce Gosk, who was a great coach. I had Dan Euchre, who was our freestyle coach. Then when I went to college, I started coaching at Denver and while I was going to UNI. So coached at Denver under Chris Krieger, who became a great friend of mine. Um, we had, you know, we were just starting to hit our peak or not our peak, but just getting to get some steam rolling there because we had Cedar Valley Mat Club with the Wolfensbergers, the Peters, is all those guys. They were kind of coming up. So I was on the front side of that and then graduated from college and took my first job down in Creston. And then all of a sudden you know, winning state titles there in 2007, 2008. I think we won state. We had six in the finals. Just a super group. I learned a lot from Coach Daryl Frayne. He was the head coach at Creston at that time. Now he's AD at Oakland Riverside, back where he's
Yep.
from. And then he's
Yep.
also, I see he's the AD, but he's also the head football coach, and he's also helping with softball too, I think. So I try to keep tabs on him. But it's amazing now all of a sudden you see Oakland Riverside in being very successful again. And I'm sure he has a lot to do with that. But surrounding myself with him, that's kind of catapulted me to, I think, being a coach that is always willing to learn and seek out, advice from others. So I can't thank him enough too. That was a great experience. So just everybody, man. And then, I mean, the now I'm fortunate. I got the Jake Phillips on the high school girls side. I got college coaches that I really lean on too. But then on the boys side at Osage, we're kind of a tight knit group. We got Brent Jennings and Thatcher Goodale, Joel Devine. All those guys are just great guys, and we all get along and we all bounce things off of each other, and it's just kind of a well-knit group.
Yeah. Yeah. What year did you start down in Creston? Just out of curiosity.
2001, I think.
Man,
2001.
so I think you probably were coaching down there when I coached at Denison.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and I'm going to tell you, I remember going to a duel, and I believe it was that roll through tilt,
Yep.
Creston. I believe they hit. You guys must have had a bet because I believe it got hit on everybody from whatever the low weight. I think it was 103 that year, all the way to heavyweight.
Yeah.
Somebody hit that roll through tilt. So yeah, I remember. I
Buster
wrestled
Smith.
against Creston a few times. So yeah, that was
Yep.
tough teams, tough teams.
Yep.
Uh, so did you have a bet? I guess I got to ask.
I don't know. That's a good. I know we tried to hit him a lot. I basically took that move to. I mean, that was one of our bread and butters, and we scored so many points with the crossers tilt. Back then, though, they would even let us hit it and then go to a bar arm with it, never let go of the wrist, and
Yep.
then we'd go right back into the ball and chain. So we'd get swipes and then go to the next moves, get swipes again, and we'd rack up 9 points, within seconds. So. We beat a lot of people that way.
Oh, yeah, I definitely was on the losing end of a few of those battles. So that's kind of fun to think back that far that, we actually probably ran into each other way back then,
Sure.
25 years or so ago. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, in creating, Osage has always been a really good program. I mean, I even my head coach Brent Hagan used to bring in Mark and Mike Schwab's,
yep.
bring them in and stuff for practices. So I've known Osage, people since I've been in high school and always respected that. But creating that girls culture and stuff, what are some of the things that have gone into just building your culture on the girls side?
We do a lot of things. I mean, I think it's out of the norm. It might not be. I don't know. I know that we do a lot of stuff. Team meals. We go do team bonding stuff. Um, we start every practice with a talk, and a lot of times it isn't necessarily anything about wrestling. Sometimes it is, right? And it just is a good way to keep a relationship and let them know that there's more than wrestling, and this program means more than wrestling. At the end of every practice, a girl has been told prior that they're going to break the team down. Um, I think you even see it in our warm-ups before a tournament. We bring it all together, we come together and we talk again, we just discuss things. We have a moment of silence, we high five each other, we go around, say something good, and then we always break down before we leave that night. It's just it's a culmination of so many things and I can't pinpoint it. It's just I pick up things here and there. Our After we warm up at the tournaments, when we come together in our big circle, I pick that up from watching the girls at Iowa. That type of thing. So it's just always adapting and trying to make your program stronger, but thinking outside of the box, and whether it be writing letters to teachers one day or social media videos, all this stuff matters. It really does nowadays.
So here's $1 million question, and you probably could make $1 million if you can answer this one. Probably could write a book. Building confidence in athletes. Building confidence, like the new athlete, that sophomore or junior that comes out. What are some of the things you think you guys do really well?
Well, I got a great coaching staff, I'll tell you that. So going back to surrounding yourself with, good coaches in your program, Trent Goodale, obviously you know him.
Yep.
His bark is a lot bigger than his bite because he's a big old teddy bear, I'm telling you. And he knows the content. The girls love him. He's always there, man. The guy would give his shirt off his back for the girls. they know that. I'm blessed to have him on staff. I got a mother and daughter, the Mostek, Katie Mostek and her daughter, Kate Mostek. But, having a female presence on a program is very, very important. I know the value of that. I'd love to have more, and hopefully these girls that start leaving our program will come back and they'll give back to the program. But right now, Katie and Kate Mostek do a wonderful job. Katie's also the cross country coach. But her daughter Kate, who moved back to help run their fireworks business, they got the a wonderful like world's greatest fireworks in the nation. I don't know, out of little tiny Mitchell, Iowa, just 4 miles north here, right? Kate, excuse me, the daughter was one of the first wrestlers for Osage, girl wrestler. So she started out being a manager on the boys side, and then they started making those opportunities, right? Like at Waverly and
Yeah.
possibly down by you or Ogden tournament maybe or whatnot. So Katie, the mom, will always tell me about how, she got these girls together and there was three or four of them, like Megan Krebs or Chloe Krebsback, who wrestled
Yep.
for Grandview from Osage. Her and Kate are the same grade, but that history and that timeline of how it began there and they're still there is just valuable, and they do a wonderful job. And then Craig Christensen is a dad of another wrestler of ours, but he's originally from Riceville and great wrestler there, so he's on staff. We're just really excited about that. But I think that's going back there. I got kind of long-winded, but I think that's part of the confidence thing, right? You got those two ladies who can handle the girl side of things, and really take that to that personal level on the female side, which sometimes I can't do, or sometimes Trent or Craig can't do, right? So they're always there for that. It's a lot of times it's not even wrestling related, but it's so valuable. The biggest thing I think is just embracing the losses and just continuing to get better, using a loss as a learning opportunity, and then getting right back in and drilling those holds and moves that you're going to be successful with. And then all of a sudden it clicks and they keep doing it and they see it and it's working and it's like, I don't know, some with girls, they learn quicker. They're way more open to learning maybe. But they're like sponges, man. And I just eat it up and you can see a lot of success with that. Maybe not right
Oh,
away, but eventually, if they stick to the script and continue to do the system that we're working on, man, it's a thing of beauty and the light bulb goes off. All of a sudden we're getting confidence. It might not be there right away, but it's a process, but it takes an army. And I don't think there's any secret magical thing. It's just takes a lot of people, takes a lot of input.
I thought maybe in Osage there's like a spring or something with all the state champions that come out of there and all their tradition. Maybe there was a spring I could go steal some water from, but
No, just green
darn
Kool-Aid,
it.
man. Just green
Darn
Kool-Aid is
it.
what we're
Just the
drinking up
green
here.
Kool-Aid. That's probably not a bad thing. You said something in there. I just missed. Oh, the girls are sponges and they pick up so quickly and so well. The one thing I've noticed with that though is they want to be perfect all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've really been trying to work at the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And
yeah,
in this move, you got to learn how they're going to react to you, and it's not going to be exactly right each time because I've ran into that too. They're great at
sure.
picking things up, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's like, well, you can't do that right. No, you're fine. You're
yeah,
fine. Just
yeah.
gotta
And
wrestle through that.
I'm a firm believer in drill, drill, drill. I'm not there'll be a lot of times we don't even really wrestle live. And if we do wrestle live, it'll be a lot for just learning the protocols of a match, maybe even,
Yep.
or like short time situations, more situational stuff or scoring stuff. But the drilling part is so important. If you can teach them how to drill and they do it successfully and they catch on. Gable is really good at that. It took a while, man. It took me a lot of one-on-one time with her, but it paid off. Didn't pay off for her. It did, but it was great because she was able to show the girls how to drill,
Hmm.
which means a hell of a lot more than a fat old guy like myself, telling them the importance of it. But, and I've been blessed. Both my daughters, Ainsley one time at the Battle of Waterloo this last year, I was looked over at Trent and I was like, she yelled out coaching one of our girls, and I couldn't even get it out of my mouth yet. And Ainsley had already had it out there. I mean, Ainsley's a born leader and coach. So that's cool to see. So I think, once you get back to the success thing, it's definitely a work in progress and definitely a culmination of doing hard things. You know what I mean? And sometimes they're not fun. But it pays off, and I think that all pays off and works well in the end. So
I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask the question, separating dad from coach. I know I
no,
like Jason. I know I coached with Jason Shepard, and we had Tatum
yeah,
was there. I and Thomas Brown is my other assistant coach, and Destiny was
Destiny,
dad. So, you
yeah,
know, it's not always easy being dad and coach. But
no.
what do you think the best part of that is?
Well, I mean, just going back, I think that I set that standard very early with Gable, just since she was my oldest, that there's a time where I'm coach and there's a time that I'm dad, and I will respect your time as my daughter. I'll also respect your time as my athlete. But we got to know when that time is. And I really, really, really tried to not bring wrestling home. So I did a pretty good job of that, believe it or not. I don't think some people would believe that, but I really, really did. There's times where, it there was confrontation or whatnot, or maybe something a little bit more than you would see, but it wasn't much. That's another. I'm going to go back to these female coaches that I have, or that's a great place for them to go. If they feel like dad's coming out, or Trent's a teddy bear, they feel like dad's coming out. I trust them.
Hmm.
Reiterate, go tell them. And I just tried to just keep it separate. It's really not that hard in the grand scheme of things because what really matters is fatherhood, honestly. I'm going to be real honest. I was a lucky dad and got to coach my two daughters to each winning a state title, which was right up there with one of the greatest things in my life. But I can't wait to see what they can do beyond the sport of wrestling, and that's what I'm most excited for still.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And you and your wife have done a great job. I don't know Collins very well yet. I'm sure I will, but I've had the opportunity to coach Gable down in Florida.
Yep.
I don't really coach anymore, but I was around Ainsley quite a bit. Just super
Yeah.
kids. They're just
Well,
beyond the mat, super kids.
Cece's fiery, man. Collins is full of piss and vinegar. So she's interesting. She's interesting. They're all great. We're really lucky. Really, really lucky.
So you've mentioned a few times softball, multi-sport athletes. Osage is not a big school. Kids have to play multiple sports. We don't specialize in 1A schools, right? That's just can't. So you coach softball. Do you still coach with Grim?
I do. Yeah, he's my assistant again, going back to surrounding yourself with good people right there. Yep.
Yeah. So how is the softball season? We'll veer off of wrestling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I'm a head coach of two sports, to be honest with you. It's just asinine. But um I value multi-sport athletes a lot, right? Like Gable could have been a great wrestler had she just focused on wrestling and went to Immortal every day and whatnot. But at the end of our season this year, she stood in front of the whole team and was like, this is not my number one sport. You guys know that, but this team means so much to me, and I'm proud of being a senior on this team and what we've done. Um, competing in different athletic events, different situations is only going to make them stronger. It's only going to make them a better wrestler and a better person when they're competing on a softball diamond, in my opinion. And honestly, my coaching isn't much different. It isn't. I got Heath as my assistant, and obviously we all know he's the head coach at Upper Iowa, but he's a great friend of mine, and I actually learn a lot about coaching just with him on my staff. and pick up things that he does and says and the terminology and vocabulary he uses to keep the girls engaged and fresh, it's cool. This year we won our the program best 28 wins and 2 losses, just a heartbreaking loss at the end. I think we're one of the better teams in the state. Uh, and I've told people this, it was probably the hardest loss I've ever dealt with as a coach. Our last loss in softball. Um, you know, we just we had a great season. We only had 1 loss, suffered that late, but then won our first conference title ever in school history. Um, our starting pitcher kind of got hurt, so then we had to shuffle some things. We were able to do that, navigate that just by being strong together. And it was cool. It was cool. And everyone was all in, even right down to the ace who was having just a phenomenal year. She unfortunately had to take a new role and started helping others. So that's cool, and that loss at the end there, I was talking to Jay McDonough, who's wrestling coach over here at Central Springs. I was like, in wrestling, after a loss, you can talk to him and get your hands on him and we can go back to work, right? Like in softball, it's tough. Like that was a tough loss for me. I was thinking it might have been my last year, but I'm not going out like that. So uh so so we're gonna keep doing her. I love it. Honestly, I would like to start getting a little bit maybe more into the Fargo teams and that, but I just can't get away from softball. I love baseball as when I was growing up and in high school. So baseball
Yeah.
was a good sport for me. It taught me different things, right? Just like the sport of wrestling did. I got my senior wrestlers. I got some that don't like wrestling, right? Or wrestling wasn't their major sport, but they came out for wrestling
Yep.
and it made them a better softball player. They're playing at Nyack and we're not whatnot here this year and went on to play collegiate softball, but that they were wrestlers also, and I just think the multi-sport athlete makes you a well-rounded person. It gives you a break, from the grind of a wrestling season or a volleyball or whatever else, that kids need those breaks. They really do, mentally and just physically. But I love softball. I really do. It's not much different than wrestling, to be honest with you. I coach it the same. Um, we have fun. We play hard, and the girls are great girls, great girls. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
It's a fun sport to watch. I was a baseball. I played. I was a bench setter in high school. I guess I was really good at spitting my seeds through the fence
Yeah,
without hit.
yeah,
So I was good at that game. But no, I baseball. I love baseball too and stuff. But softball is a fun game to watch. I mean,
it
there's
is.
so much quicker paced, and
Yeah,
you gotta. I
yeah,
mean, just there's a lot of just moving runners over. A lot
yeah.
of strategy involved in
There is.
softball. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
fun game. I'm gonna get into some a little bit more fun questions now, a little bit more about you and just just yourself. One more wrestling question, quick. So the practice playlist, do you ever get to pick that, or is
oh,
that pretty much?
jeez. I I try, man. I try, and then all of a sudden I got country going, and the girls are making fun of me or whatnot, and we just keep rolling. But I don't get much time with the stereo. The girls usually take that over, so we're we're usually that team that has the music too, or when we're warming up, So I, I I'm pretty strict on just make sure there's no swear words and keep it clean, kind of
which
deal.
is
Too
which is
much
not an
rap.
easy that's not an easy task anymore to keep it
No,
clean. Man,
no.
that's a tough thing. But
Yeah.
we'll get into some fun questions and we'll get to know you. We'll start wrestling and food go hand in hand. We love it. So if you were going to tell the girls what to have post weigh-in, what's some of the things that you recommend them to have?
Yeah, we do meals, the parents provide meals after every weigh-in. I usually give them kind of a list of things that they can choose from. First thing you get off that scale, they're pretty well trained. They know that they got to drink water and water only. First of all, we're not a huge weight cutting team. We
Hmm.
try not to do that. But the first thing you got to take in is water, and then slowly work on. We do baked potatoes a lot actually. There's some study and stuff behind that for recovery. So we do those a lot. Uh, Bagels, a lot of bagels like that. But something light and lean and slowly work into the day, all tournament where you're putting good food in your body so it's energy. That's real key. That's kind of why I like to have parents bring stuff because some girls will forget or whatnot, but I think it's
Yep.
so important to keep feeling your body throughout a day, just putting good food in your body, good things in your system to have the energy in the gas tank.
Way different than the old days of, I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I still weighed in the mornings before meets, 7 a.m. weigh in or, for the afternoon. I don't know how many times it was a 2 liter of Mountain Dew and a Snicker
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't do that
Thank
with a
God
1 hour weigh in.
that's gone. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
I have a guilty pleasure food. It's ice cream. Is there something in the Heman household that is kind of that guilty pleasure that we enjoy every once in a while?
I'm not a sweet guy. So I don't eat a lot of sweets. I'm a Mountain Dew guy. So I train myself if I'm drinking a Mountain Dew that I only have 12 ounces in one day. So I love Mountain Dew though. I could drink Mountain Dew all day long. I just know that it's not great for me and I'd probably be 300 pounds or something, but and not healthy. But I definitely Mountain Dew would be mine.
Mountain Dew's yours. If you're going to take the wife out for a nice dinner, I'm doing this with all the coaches, so when I'm in your area, I know where to go eat. Where are we going out to eat, and what are we having?
Well, Northwest Steakhouse is the best. I don't know if you've ever been there in Mason City. That's
Have
top
not.
notch. Top notch. That's the best place to go. In Osage, though, we got a great Mexican restaurant. Got Tell You What, which is a great restaurant as well. Owned by some wrestling people. So, but yeah, we're going to Northwest Steakhouse, man, and it's Greek spaghetti, usually a prime rib, um, baked potato. It's solid, really
Good
solid.
place. Sounds good. Vacation spots. I know being a coach, you don't probably get a lot of opportunities, especially since you're coaching during the winter time and then you're coaching a summer sport. And softball and baseball, they take up your summer. I mean, it's end of July before you're done. But vacation spot, where's some place that you guys have gone that you really liked, but where is that bucket list place?
Yeah, put me on a beach and I'm pretty happy, So we'll try to hit up all inclusives down south in Mexico or the Dominican or those type of places. Went to a really good resort in Florida called South Seas on Sanibel Island. Really cool there. Um, Fort Worth, believe it or not, is pretty cool, laid back, nice place. Uh, in Nashville, you can't go wrong with those places. I've been pretty lucky to travel and get out to those places and have good experiences. I don't know, bucket list. I'd really like to probably try to go overseas sometime. Um, if it was wrestling, it'd be even cooler, to go somewhere. Australia would be cool, I think.
Yeah, that actually does sound like a kind of a good one.
Yeah.
Um, of all time, favorite wrestling shoe.
I'm a Nike freak guy. You can't beat the old Rulons, obviously. But I stand by Nike freaks. I just love them. They're so comfortable, and I leave my shoes in the wrestling room and started getting to where they started to be wet in the morning when we had practice. I found out Tucker Stango was wearing them in practice for the high school boys after school. So he obviously thought they were comfortable too. So I talked to him. He's like, "These are the comfortablest shoes ever." I said, "I stand by Nike freaks all day." So I've
I
wore
just
those
got
for a
my
while.
I
I've
just got
kind
my
of
first
slowly
pair of
got my
Nikes.
girls into Nike shoes now, and you can kind of see it going to the other girls now too. It used to just be they all wanted Rudis. Rudis is good, don't get me wrong, but I can't beat a good Nike freak.
Yeah, I just got my first pair of Inflicts. The only
Yeah.
other pair of I had a pair of Nike wrestling shoes one time, like a hand-me-down pair, and that so I never really liked them. Always did Asics in high school and college, Rudis
Yeah.
the last few years, but now I've man, I like those Inflicts. They are
The old
so
Rulons were
comfortable.
the best though. You
Yeah,
just those were unreal. The mat flexes were cool when I was at New Hampton. Our team rocked those pretty solidly, with a lot of confidence. But yeah, you can't beat the Nike Freak.
My favorite ones of all time though were, I don't know if you remember the I think they were Dan Gable Ultras, complete split sole, nothing in the middle,
Yeah,
blue and the big white puffy back.
yeah, yeah. I know
Love
exactly
those
what you're talking about.
shoes. Oh, I
And
love
their
those
tongue was
shoes.
like really long and
Yep,
then
yep,
white in the middle, yeah, white behind it. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
Those would be
I
worth
love
some
that.
money today.
I wish I still had them. Love that pair of
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure if I asked this as a wrestler, or as a coach. So coin flip, have your choices been, has it changed since you've been coaching girls wrestling? What you're choosing off the coin flip? I know as an older guy, we always down was just always picked, and I don't pick down very often with the girls.
No, I'm with you, man. We'll pick top a lot, honestly. We do. Um, Gable, I probably didn't too much. There's some, but we pick top or neutral probably more than we do down now.
Yeah,
For a lot of reasons, right? There's a 4 point near fall. Girls are flexible too, so we've kind of adapted. We don't do halves much. We run wings and
yep.
that type of thing, just because they're so flexible. So those halves would slip or whatnot, but. Yeah, we feel pretty confident on our feet and definitely if we got to take top, we're gonna do it if we have to.
So what's our go-to takedown at Osage?
Head inside single all day, baby. Head inside single. I call it a head inside single. So
Yep,
a sweep single
yep.
basically is yep, all day, high percentage move right there.
So if we are on the bottom, how are we getting away?
Yeah, you're gonna look into a chop. Top person's gonna chop. So look in, don't reach in. Keep putting your back shoulder back into them and rotate up. It's simple. Simple.
We just went over that just this last week or a week or so ago. I just actually
Yeah.
went over that same thing. We did a lot of that quad pod stand up last
Yeah,
year,
that works too. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I know Jake
and
teaches that a little bit too. When he does do folk style. Yeah. No, you're rotating into a chop all day. Don't reach in, give up your wrist and keep fighting out.
and then you've already said it. You guys were running a lot of arm bar, chicken wing series.
We
Have you hit much leg riding with that yet?
we we don't. I don't think it correlates well to the freestyle stuff. We'll see. Obviously it works for Katie, Katie Biscaglia and those girls.
Yeah.
So we don't get into leg riding much. I know Brent Jennings, the boys coach, Coach Jennings, does a little bit better job with that. I'm just not a legger. I'm not. I'm more of a let's get cross wrist from my Creston days. And
Yeah.
you can do a lot of stuff with a cross wrist and it will take a lot of time off the clock too. And you can really put some punishment on a girl on bottom or a wrestler on bottom when you got that cross wrist with good pressure.
Yeah, that's maybe where I came from too, but Shepard's a little bit of a legger, so we've been trying to swing that
Sure.
in. If you coach Tegan, you
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
saw her toss some legs
Yeah.
in somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's something
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
trying to
get much
learn.
into it. Thatcher Goodale would probably be the best person that we'd probably have show it and Jennings and those guys. But I think it's to each their own. Obviously, they're all different, and there are definitely girls out there who would be good leggers that need to be taught that for sure.
Um, I started asking this question to us old guys. I remember really looking up to like Royce Alger, Brad Penrith, Rico Chiapparelli. That's kind of my age group of those guys that I used to watch. Who are some of the people that you watched when you were growing up? Probably Iowa Public Television on your VHS,
Sure. Yeah.
But
When I was lucky, growing up in Osage, obviously my high school teammate was Doug Schwab. We were in the same grade, but we had guys like Mike Euchre was huge for me. He wrestled at Iowa, was a state champ he was 2, 3 time All-American for Iowa. But I remember him coming home and in the summers and he'd come by my house, pick me up on his motorcycle. We'd take off and go to the weight room and he'd put me through a lift, and that was cool. it was just fun stuff like that. So I was a big fan of any Iowa team with Mark Ironside and those guys that he wrestled with. The Brands brothers, all those guys he was wrestling with when he was kind of just my guy I looked up to and kind of someone who took me under their wing when I was growing up, which was way cool. So that's kind of that Iowa team there. Of the Jesse Whitmers that Mike Euchre was a part of. Those guys were always top of my list.
So if I gave you a promotion to the head of the NFHS in charge of rules, is there any wrestling free or is there any folk style rules that you would change for the girls?
Oh boy. Um, I don't know. I think we're trending in the right direction. I'm glad that we're not, when girls wrestling first started, and we see it in Minnesota tournament we went on, and that's no knock on them or anything, but they're allowing things to go longer because they're flexible, they're not
Hmm.
stopping it right away, they're letting it play out. Just because they're girls doesn't, mean that they can't handle good, tough wrestling, right? So I like this that we're evolving that way, and we don't have a different you can't see different officiating between a girls and a boys match. I think, there's a time and a place for a step out. I'm just not sure if it's needed. In girls, you see a lot of action, at the college level, I might want to see it a little bit more, from the boys' side, but girls will obviously have it in the college side of
Hmm.
things doing freestyles. So, um, that might be something, I think the 4 point near fall is good too. I really do. Rewarding the top wrestler for executing different holds and putting them in a turning position is cool. I think that was much needed.
Yeah. And I think that was last year. I don't know how many times I looked up and I was like, how can the score be that already?
Yeah,
Holy
yeah,
crap.
right, right. I love
It's
girls wrestling. They're scoring, man, and there's lots of cheering, and it reminds me a lot of softball too. It's just very similar, honestly, just like that. So.
Yeah, no, I like the new rule set. I a lot of times think the push out or step out would be kind of a nice addition is it would take that. I got pretty frustrated with the stalling on the edge of the mat calls last year. Like they stopped making that call, people going out of
Yeah,
bounds. At the
yeah,
beginning of the season, it seems like we were calling it right away. And I'm good with that call. If I'm pushing, call me
for
for
sure.
pushing out.
For
And
sure.
if my girl walked out, make sure you hit us because
Right.
I actually got a warning last year because I got a little upset about not a bunch of no calls in a row. It was just
Right.
like, man. And I
Yeah.
don't get upset that often.
And that, no, you don't. And that's something we can talk about too, right? Like where I'm going with the premature stopping of how they used to, when girls wrestling was starting, like
Yep.
you hopefully you don't see a different in a stall call on the edge of the mat or in any part of the mat. It should be the same as the boys' side too. Um, I don't know. We
Yeah.
we try not to get called for stalling much. If we do, they're
I
probably
try
gonna
not
hit.
to either.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's some of the other things that, and I think it's lessened like that first couple of years, they would give them they wouldn't hit cautions and
yeah.
just,
Right,
but
right.
really you're hurt. If you don't call it, you're kind of hurting your athletes. Not, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my opinion. You're not
for
helping
sure,
somebody by letting somebody get away with something
for sure. I
because
agree
then
totally.
they just get used to that. Yeah, there is. I'll have to bring it up because it was kind of a funny. I think we were at Ogden. I don't remember even who was wrestling. It was you and I. We were in the corners, inexperienced official, and I know he was trying his best. And there was a pin called about, I would guess 8-10 inches. The shoulders were not anywhere near, and you just kind of looked at me and, and there's
I
nothing you knew
remember
at that
well.
time.
I remember
It's
well.
like
Was that was
yeah,
interesting.
no, that was I don't yeah. I just thought I'd bring it up while we were because I thought it was kind of funny because that's kind of that coaches we do all get along and we do
Right,
help each other
right.
out and you looked at me like whew. I was like yep, nothing I can do about it now. But um
Yeah. No,
what
thinking about officials though, man, we need to, hopefully we can continue to see younger kids get in
yeah,
there I may even do it once I'm done coaching, I got so much respect for those guys. A lot of them are my, good friends of mine, and I know that there's a shortage. So hopefully we can see some people start giving back and getting in the
Oh yeah.
sport.
It's a
And
tough.
no one
I
ruins it, a crowd or
Yeah.
a coach or whatnot.
Yeah. I try not to get on them too much. But man, that is it's a tough. I don't even like to officiate like in my room, when it's a wrestle
Nope.
off. I usually
Yep.
have somebody else, I'll have
Yep.
one of the other coaches do it. I don't like to do
Yep.
it. It's
Yep.
not my thing. So
See,
I
I don't
respect
mind
them.
it.
I do. I
Yeah.
it's not my thing. I don't want to make those calls. I prefer to complain about them.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
um last question, then I'm going to give you a chance to just kind of finalize final thoughts. But wrestling has taught me to blank.
Oh man, wrestling has taught me to, well, I think the sport of wrestling, as far as like coaching, has taught me that everything happens for a reason, right? Some things aren't going to go your way. There's going to be a lot of hurdles and struggles. God has a plan. Just continue to work hard, have a good attitude, show up every day with your best intentions, and good things will happen. Not saying that, hey, everyone's perfect, not perfect at all. But I put my work ethic up against most people, and that's just due to the sport of wrestling. I think it's taught me to work hard, be humble. Obviously, the last person I'm into this for is myself. But seeing the success and a strong bond between team members and coaches and team members is pretty special. But wrestling's definitely taught me to outwork everybody or work hard. So good things will happen.
Very good. Last thing I always do is give you an opportunity to talk about anything you want, a little bit of final thoughts. So,
No, I mean, I'm just blessed, man. I'm just extremely grateful for the opportunities I've been given, for the people I get to coach and coach against, and the athletes I get to coach. It's so cool to see the sport evolve. And you can look at what the state of Iowa has been doing. I know we got people in Minnesota that are looking at us and saying, wow, like they're really advancing this sport for these girls. Going to the state tournament at the girls' state tournament, I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up to me and say, that was one of my favorite weekends ever. Just the production that they put on for the girls is super, and it just continues to get better. I know you're probably on the advisory board, but the changes that they make at the advisory level, listening to coaches to put out the best product possible in the state of Iowa, is exciting for these girls. And I think it's just something special, man. It's pretty cool to be a part of. We got some wonderful people, coaching in the state, and it's just fun to be a part of.
awesome. Well, thank you very much for doing this. If I
Appreciate it,
don't see
man.
you, if I don't see you before season, good luck, and we'll for sure
Oh,
see
we'll
you at
see you.
Ogden. I have to find out if I haven't even heard for sure if I made it into your tournament. I
Oh,
I
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
We'll see. Well, I'll see. I know there's some other people trying to get into. I think we wanted to, so we got a new AD, so I think he'll try to finalize who's in for sure, and then we'll reach out then too.
Okay,
I'll be in
sounds
touch.
good.
I'll be in touch. It's a good tournament. It's fun.
Yep. No,
You
I'd
need a
like to go
place
up
to
there.
stay, man. We got places, so we'll host you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Thank you,
We
Troy.
will we'll see you soon.
Okay.